Well, Sashay do buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer and Whiskey Whisperer for the purposes of this video. And a fun one. I did an official at the pub video. I hadn't done one in a while. Had a very interesting guest, musician from Montreal of all places. Uh, I like to get a reputation for having very eclectic guests, man. Um, Although most are beer or whiskey related. I mean, I've had a couple national touring blues musicians on here, a lot of local musicians, even a former uh, top ranked heavyweight contender. So, and the point being is, you never know what you're going to find at the pub. You can walk into your local pub, and you never know who's going to be there. And that's why I started this a while back, because I wanted this to be just to have a conversation, man, not an interview per se, but just a conversation. Give me just a second while I edit this real quick, or not edit, but change my privacy over here. There we go. Anyway, how the heck are you? So I decided to just I was going to do a video earlier, but then I got watching the movie and kind of lost track of time. But I typically do a late night Friday and Saturday, so I figured, oh, what the hell. So I had some of this left. I'm trying to finish off some stuff. Uh, and so I had a Samuel Adams OVP, their oaked vanilla porter. It's at 5.8%, so it's not a big one. Gonna pour that here for you right in front of you. Sometimes I pour in advance and take a picture, but I didn't for the beer or the whiskey today. I'll go get that poured. And the whiskey, here's what I decided to do for the whiskey. If you can't, was gonna do this one right here. I did have the shirt on earlier. I just forgot I changed the shirt. Anyways, it's a great distillery out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Four Finger Distillery. It's a single malt whiskey at 90 proof. So I'm gonna pour just a little bit of that here. Well, I say just a little bit. I'm gonna pour about 2 ounces in there. Give myself a nice pour. Single malt whiskey. I love the American single malt category. I really do. Because it's really, I feel like anyway, being a whiskey guy, that the single malt category, the American single malt category, has really stretched its wings, right? Scotch single malt is what it is. It's. I think there are those so-called purists that want to believe that's the only single malt because that's just the way it's been done for all those years. But American craft distilleries are just taking it a little bit further. Whereas Scotch uses peated malt, not all American whiskeys do, and they don't have to. It just has to be 100% malted barley. It doesn't have to be peated. Most, not all, Irish single malts aren't peated, although some are. The only thing those two have in common is that they typically use bourbon barrels. So you don't get that heavy oak. But a lot of American single malt whiskeys are using new American charred oak, which gives that malted barley a little bit more to hang on to. Gives you that heavier oak and char into that malted barley, which takes that whiskey in a whole other direction. I get that some don't like that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. However, in my opinion, it just adds another dimension to the single malt whiskey category, which is why I love the American single malt whiskey category, because it's all up to the distillery, right? Some American craft distilleries are using uh, the second use bourbon barrels. So it's a very similar animal to a Scotch or an Irish. What's the one that I had? Oh, Endeavor single malt uses some Speyside malted barley, so it has a very Scotch-like feel to it. Restless Spirits does an American single malt using the used or second use bourbon barrels that has very much an Irish feel to it. Although it's an American whiskey, it tastes a lot like an Irish single malt. And then I grabbed this Four Fingers, and again, it uses new American charred oaks. It's got that bigger oak flavor. It's just done so impeccably well. Oh man. And it does make me wonder, it does make me wonder why those others haven't done that before now. And it may be because of that a lot of them just didn't have a feel for that big oak. But that 100% malted barley really just takes it in a whole other direction. It just soaks up those oak notes. That new char gives you that nice, beautiful color. Again, this is a 90 proof whiskey, this particular single malt from Four Finger. Oh, that's gorgeous, man. Almost gives you that cigar tobacco like note. It almost gives you like a cigar malt with that big oak. It gives you that feel that's just absolutely gorgeous, man. And then I'll show you my beer here. Yeah. Trying to purge. I'm going through a purge, right? Gave away a lot of beer. But then I've had other friends give me a lot of beer, so I'm kind of breaking even here. But I'm trying real hard. I'm trying real hard to purge my beer fridge. Picked up this one, I think, just before Thanksgiving. Got that big holiday pack, from Sam Adams. Oak vanilla porter. It's nice. Yeah, I mean, again, it's like most of what Sam Adams seems to want to do these days. I mean, they're not reinventing the wheel. They're making good beers. Or anything to write home about? Honestly, no. Is it the best oaked beer, oaked vanilla porter I've ever had? No, but there's nothing wrong with it either. It doesn't make me go, oh, can be, but it ain't bad. Yeah, it's all right. I don't hate it. It's okay. It's what Sam Adams does. They're the forerunners and mediocrity. Right? I don't know. That's a little harsh, I know. But there was a time where the Sam Adams Boston Beer Company was really at the cutting edge of craft beer, and I'm not sure what happened. At some point, they just decided to say, "Okay, we're just going to make good beer now. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're not going to get out of the box anymore. We're not going to try to lead the way." I'm not sure why they made that decision. I think it was around 2007, maybe 2006, but around that time, maybe six, uh, that they had this Hallertau Imperial Pilsner. I think that was around 10%, and that thing was gorgeous. I mean, there was a time they were really putting out some cutting edge stuff, and it was maybe not long after that they decided we're just not going to do that anymore. We're going to try to be cutting edge. We'd rather get in everybody's store and everybody's grocery store. And we're not going to try to be great anymore. We just want to be good. And I can't really knock them, I guess, because I mean, they've done well. But I do miss those days when they were really putting out that great cutting edge stuff. That Hallertau Pilsner, I got to tell you, man, that thing was just, oh man, that was gorgeous. It was way ahead of its time, maybe. Not a lot of folks were doing an Imperial Pilsner at that time. And it was a style that kind of came and went, right? It seemed like everybody was doing it for about a 5 year period now. You rarely see them, but when I do see that category out there, there's very few breweries doing an imperial pills. But every time I see one, I buy it because I just love the style. It almost seems like an oxymoron, right? An imperial pills, but boy, those that are doing it right are just making a great beer. And I believe that Hallertau Pills, if they brought that back today, would just kill the market. That thing was gorgeous. I mean, it was just a big beast. It was just a classic style on steroids, man. And I get that it wasn't for everybody, but it was such a incredibly done beer. I miss it terribly. Four Finger Distillery. Let me talk a little bit about them. I visited them back in September, the end of September, when my wife and I were out there for our 30th anniversary. And I had a great experience there. I had a nice I was going to say kid, but he was probably in, I don't know, mid to late 20s. I mean, everybody's a kid to me at this point. But everybody in their 40s is a kid. Uh, but he was friendly and very knowledgeable about the product, which is why I bought product. I bought the single malt whiskey. I also bought a rye, which is gone. Man, I killed the rye, baby. I bought a cask rye that was just so gorgeous. It went quick. But this single malt is beautiful too. I didn't open it up as soon as that one. That's why this one is still here with me. But I'm treating the single malts a little bit different. I'm trying to drink them mostly neat. I bought a few while we were on vacation. I mentioned the Endeavor earlier. That was a nice whiskey as well. But again, even though they're both American single malt whiskeys, they're completely different animals. The Endeavor uses Speyside malt and Belgian specialty malt. So it's got more of a Scotch-like feel to it. Whereas this one is just uniquely American with that new charred oak going on. Which I think is one reason I really love and enjoy that category is there are some rules, but then there's not, right? It has to be 100% malted barley, but hey, if you want to put it in a new barrel, put it in a new barrel. And there are other, I mean, it has to be malted barley, but there are different malted barleys you can add to it. I mean, like I mentioned the Endeavor that uses Speyside malt and Belgian specialty malt, but it's all malted barley. Oh man, yeah, this beer ain't bad. It's nice. It's nice. It's likable, and it's easy to drink. I mean, it's under 6%, so it's not gonna knock your dick in the dirt right away. Anyway, uh, it ain't bad. The oak is light, so is the vanilla, but it is there. Again, it is very Sam Adams, right? It's good. A little bit of oak, a little vanilla. It's not heavily done. It is what Sam Adams has become. It's good. This whiskey is just wow. So if you get a chance to visit Four Finger in Indianapolis, Indiana, I cannot recommend them more highly. They are just amazing. Uh, Using my Sam Adams Boston Lager glass, you may have noticed I've had this thing for good Lord, I don't know how long I've had this. At least a decade and a half, but it might be closer to 2 decades I've had this particular glass. Anyways, I digress. I digress, man. Ah, anyways, anyways, let me finish up this whiskey. Let me show you this bottle one more time. Four Finger Distillery, a single malt whiskey, 90 proof. This single malt whiskey is crafted using a complex variety of malted barley, which brings out notes of chocolate and sweet oak from new charred barrels. I wanted to make sure I got that in there. Yes, you will get some chocolate in there. For me, it's more of a dark chocolate. I'm going to say malted dark chocolate. Again, I mentioned the cigar. You feel like a cigar malt like note to it for me. Just a light sweetness in there, very light, very oaky, dry in the finish. A little bit of spice, but it isn't a heavily spiced whiskey. Ah, beautiful, man. If you were, I don't smoke cigars, but if you did, this would be perfect. So there you go. Anyways, I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and biscuits and gravy. Anyways, I'm also Tom the Beer Whisperer, Beer Evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and